Yes, ma'am, and I'm continuing to allow folks as they're joining.
Sure. All right, then, Clay, let's begin to broadcast.
Good to go.
Thank you. Good afternoon to everyone, and thank you for making time to be together in at least two dimensions. I'm Kathleen Kelly. I have the privilege in Palm Desert's rotation system to serve as mayor this year. And I'm joined by Mayor Pro Tem Jan Harnick, as well as quite a few others I'll mention in just a moment. The proposed arena is not within the city limits of Palm Desert. It's proposed in an unincorporated part of the county, which is just over the freeway from Palm Desert. And as a result, of course, we're quite interested in how it might impact our city and our residents. So because there has thankfully been quite a lot of press about the proposed arena, we have great local press. I know, and your council knows, the residents have increasing interest. So this two-dimensional forum has been scheduled primarily to give our residents, especially those in the north sphere of Palm Desert, which, just to confuse you, is south of the freeway, an opportunity to hear directly from the developers what's proposed, and most especially to voice your questions, your perceptions, and hear a bit about what process will take place from this point forward. It's of keen interest to Palm Desert to make sure that our residents have that opportunity to express themselves and be heard by those who will make decisions. So we are especially pleased that our Supervisor Perez, is with us. And I wonder if you'd like to say just a few words of welcome.
Thank you, Madam Mayor Kelly, Vice Mayor Harnick, staff, colleagues, friends of the 4th District, and all of those that are working on behalf of the arena. And I'm going to be brief, just want to say thank you for this forum. Madam Mayor, thank you for bringing this forward. I think it is important, although this is an unincorporated area, the Thousand Palms area. We want to obviously be good neighbors. And that's always important to hear the concerns of our neighbors and ensuring success and ensuring ultimately that folks' voices, concerns are heard and addressed. And so with that, I'll leave it at that point. And I'm looking forward to listening to the points and thoughts of our folks within Palm Desert and elsewhere. Thank you.
And thank you. We appreciate your service very, very much. We're also joined by, I was about to say, Palm Desert's new city manager, but we've actually broken him in pretty well by now. Todd Heilman is with us, as well as select staff members from the city of Palm Desert who may have occasion to chip in depending upon what the questions are. And we've invited representatives from the developers of the proposed arena, led by John Bolton and I'm going to ask them to start this session by telling their story a bit, so we have a context for questions and perceptions that folks would like to share. At the end of that presentation, I'll have just some brief instructions before we start to take questions. So heed the information for the time being. And Mr. Bolton, I'll ask you to introduce yourself and
Is identical.
and those who are with
Barely
you.
hearing this.
Well, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Supervisor Perez. It's really an honor to be here today, and I really appreciate this opportunity to connect with everyone on the call. Also joining me today is Tony Lacacciato from Meridian Consultants. Tony has been working with Riverside County during the entitlement process. Also, Michael Bates with the Mobility Group. He's also been working with Riverside County on their traffic and parking analysis. And also Nick Faro, who will be president of the American Hockey League team that will be here in the Coachella Valley. So with that said, I want to share my screen here if that's good for everybody. We'll start there. So just a little bit about Oakview Group. And I first should probably say a little bit about myself. I'm John Bolton. I'm Senior Vice President and General Manager of the Coachella Valley Arena, which is the most important title that I have. Have been living here in the Coachella Valley for over a year now. Have been here many, many times, owned a condo here for a long time, but happy to be a full-time resident now here in the Coachella Valley. When I first started talking to former Mayor Nastandy about this project last fall, one of the things was really because so many, amazing projects are announced and a lot of times they don't happen, what would be the reality of this project actually coming to fruition? And with Oakview Group, I'm excited that we are involved in really being the largest developer of sports and entertainment facilities in the world right now. We have $4.5 billion of capital deployed across 8 projects. And some of those you may have heard of, but I just wanted to share these with you to let everyone know that we are serious about this project. We want this project to happen, and it is very important to us, as I'll discuss a little later. But opening this fall in Seattle will be the Climate Pledge Arena. This will be the first net zero carbon certified arena in the world. So a big accomplishment for our company, and excited that it will be opening this fall. Followed by that, in the historic Belmont Park in New York, we'll be opening the UBS Arena in November. And then followed by that, at the University of Texas in Austin, a new arena there that'll be opening the first part of 2022. In addition, a new arena in Savannah, Georgia. And then of course, for us in the fall of 22 here in the Coachella Valley. We also have a project that's under construction in Manchester, England, a new 24,000 seat venue that will open in 2023. Cardiff Arena in Wales in the UK will open in 2023. And then closing out for the 26 Olympics in Milan, Italy, we're building a new arena as part of that big event. A little bit about the founders of our company. They really are icons in the industry. Tim Lawicki, you may have heard of, obviously was CEO of AEG and really the guy behind the scenes that really created Staples Center in LA Live, also the O2 Arena in London. And also another founder of our company is Irving Azoff, one of the most powerful men in music, and obviously personal manager for some of the biggest music groups in the world, including the Eagles, Fleetwood Mac, Bon Jovi, and many others. I mention these two because even though we're an international company, both of these guys have residencies here in the desert. So this project is extremely special to them and important to them because they live here. I wanted to talk a little bit about the site. I know a lot of people wonder exactly where it is, but it is in front of the Classic Club Golf Course. We were excited about this location because of its accessibility from I-10, obviously the visibility, and of course having undeveloped land all around the project was very, very critical to us. And then also having the ability to have on-site parking was very important to us when we moved locations from downtown Palm Springs. I included two visuals here, one kind of a night shot of what the arena will look like, and also one during the day. So you get an idea of both perspectives once the facility is built. The architects really worked hard to design the building that kind of fit into the landscape of the desert, but also one that wouldn't be obstructive to the views of the desert as well. And this facility will be about 63 feet tall. So in comparison to a hotel, 3 to 4 story hotel. What's really kind of unique and special, I think, about this project is that you really walk into the arena on ground level and you go down to your seat. So they're really 90% of all the seats are in that lower bowl. So it really creates a really neat, intimate environment for concerts and for hockey. Some of the interior shots in the concourses there, some of the clubs in the building. So a little bit about the programming, which I think is important for everyone to understand. In the traffic studies that were done, we looked at roughly 159 events annually, 46 of those being American Hockey League games, 38 of those during regular season, and then also some pre and post-season events with average attendance around 7,500, those occurring from the time periods of 7 to 9:30. Mostly on weekends, but also during the weekdays. In addition, roughly 45 concerts with average attendance roughly 7,500. Most of those typically would occur on the weekends during the off-peak hours of 7 to 11 p.m. More on the weekends, Friday and Saturday, roughly starting at 8 p.m. In addition, around 38 family shows, typically occurring on the weekends. When I mean family shows, things like Disney on Ice, Cirque du Soleil, wrestling, Harlem Globetrotters, things like that. Those would typically occur on the weekend, but also have evening events, but also matinees on those Saturdays and Sundays as well. In addition, another 10 other sporting events from the NHL to NBA exhibition games, boxing, those kind of events, and then some smaller events such as graduations, meetings, and conventions. Our construction timeline, we hope to start as soon as possible, which would allow us to be complete in the fall of 2022 in time for the 22-23 hockey season. From a sound perspective, all of our events will be indoors. So from a people thinking about that from a neighborhood perspective, everything will be indoors. So the only exterior sound would be for what we would have for safety and emergency uses at the venue entrances. Exterior lighting, you saw kind of, I gave you the day shot and the evening shot to give you an idea of what it would look like. There will be an outdoor marquee with frontage to I-10 there along Varner Road. And of course, there would be some signage on the venue as well, letting people know that that is the particular name of the venue. And of course, your normal safety lighting package for streets and stuff like that. So from a parking and traffic perspective, I mentioned the 3,000 surface slot parking spaces directly adjacent to the arena. Michael Bates, who will follow me, will kind of talk about the traffic studies, and most importantly, the traffic management plan, a tool used by arenas throughout the country to deal with flow of traffic during these times where we have events, and he'll give you more information on that. From an economic standpoint, we are ready to award roughly $203 million in contracts to different construction companies, with roughly 80 million of that being labor income. And that translates to roughly 1,400 new jobs for the Valley once we start construction through November of 22, roughly an 18-month build. Post-construction, we'll have roughly 420 new full-time equivalent jobs that will start once we open. That will be my team and as well as the hockey team. And over the life of the project, roughly a $3 billion total economic output. From a communication standpoint, in a lot of the meetings that I've had with the homeowners associations and different neighbors, I wanted to assure everyone that on my staff, we'll have a full-time dedicated neighborhood and community relations manager. Once we get started in earnest and on the project from a construction update, everyone will be welcome to join our database, and we'll be sending weekly emails about the construction process. Neighborhood meetings from construction start to completion of those that will be affected by the construction process. Obviously, we will have preview events for our adjacent neighborhoods. And then, of course, once we open, the communication doesn't stop there. We will have quarterly neighborhood and stakeholder meetings and social events with our neighbors. And of course, during construction and after opening, hotline and email for anyone that has concerns or questions. I also mentioned this, if you're interested and you're on the call, we have partnered with the Desert Sun for several months now and done recorded webinars about different aspects of the project, with the most recent one on parking and traffic being released this afternoon. From a fire and safety standpoint, obviously every major project that is developed pays developmental fees. And for the North Star project, it's roughly 6.4 million, with the arena portion being 1.2 million. And then the recurring direct physical impacts for Riverside County, roughly $700,000 per year annually. A little bit about the arena from a fire and safety perspective. We aren't your typical retail establishment. We are a little bit more sophisticated in that all of our events occur at a specific time period. So it allows us to really have a lot of staff on site that are really helpful, I think, in understanding how our operation works. So we have staff, security staff, full-time, 24 hours, 7 days a week at the arena. Every attendee that attends an event at the arena will go through a detection process before they enter the facility. We will have on-site uniform and non-uniform security officers, fire watch staff, emergency medical technicians, on-site ambulance for transport, a dedicated command center, and a dedicated medical center. And I mentioned the medical part because a lot of the calls that we see for arenas are medical related. And because we have EMTs on site, plus an ambulance available to transport them to a hospital should something happen and they need to be transported, they're already there. So that helps cut down on those fire and safety calls to the facility. As an example, kind of the most relevant, closest arena to us is Toyota Arena in Ontario, California. It's roughly the same size venue as us. In 2019, they had 300 event days and 2 million visitors. During that time, they had 6 fire alarms, 2 vehicle fires, and roughly 30 medical calls for service. So as you can see there, the stats are, no fires, few fire alarms, and 2 to 3 medical calls per month. And then another one there, Chase Center in San Francisco, same type of process there. So I'm going to turn it over to Tony now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, hopefully, and give Tony the chance to walk through his presentation on the entitlement process. Tony, are you there?
Yes, John, I'm just hitting screen share right now, waiting for it to. You have stopped sharing screen, John? Let's try this again.
We can hear you and see you.
Great, but the screen share is not reacting here. Okay, now you should see my screen. It says I'm screen sharing.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you. Thank you, John. I'm Tony Lacacciat. I'm a partner with Meridian Consultants. We're environmental planning consultants. We've been working on major projects in the Coachella Valley for over 25 years. Actually worked on the City of Palm Desert's University Park Specific Plan project, helped prepare the Sun City Palm Desert Environmental Impact Report for the County of Riverside. Just finished working on the Section 24 and Section 31 specific plans next door in the city of Rancho Mirage. And back in 2013, 2014, we got to prepare the technical studies and environmental impact report for the city of Indio that set up the long-term permit program for Coachella and Stagecoach music festivals. So I just wanted to give you a little overview of the planning context of the arena project. What's shown on this first slide, as John mentioned, the arena is proposed in the 455-acre North Star specific plan area. This was a specific plan approved by the county in 2006. Shown the arena site is right there off the plan main entry road, and I know you're all used to seeing the Classic Club and its clubhouse out there, which are the only portions of this North Star project that have been developed to date. This area was first approved by the county for development in 1981. There were a couple of amendments to the specific plan, then approved in 1988, 1998 to react to changes in the marketplace and the owner's plans for development out there. In 2005, the county approved the plans for the golf course and the clubhouse. In 2006, another major amendment was proposed. At that time, the county prepared a new full environmental impact report, ER number 470. And this major amendment approved a variety of recreation, residential, commercial, and light industrial uses out there on that 455 acres. And in 2007, the Classic Club golf course and its clubhouse were completed. So you can see a long history. The county's been reviewing development plans on this site. This is the planning area map from the approved 2006 specific plan. The large golf course area in green above is there. Planning area 2 over here has the clubhouse. There's residential uses approved south of the golf course, a large retail area here in planning area 7. And then this large lavender or purple planning area is light industrial uses. It's an industrial park planning area that's approved for development right now of 1.2 million square feet of office and light industrial buildings. This is the illustrative plan that shows the uses allowed by the 2006 specific plan as approved. John already showed you the arena plan itself. Right here, we can see the main entry road that comes into the North Star specific plan area. The arena's proposed immediately east of that main entry drive off of Varna Road. The proposed amendment to the plan would reconfigure the planning areas to create a new planning area 11 on Varna Road, shown here with the arena and the parking areas. And that would be created by reducing the size of the business park planning area. And some minor reconfiguration. So the arena would be located immediately east of the planned retail commercial uses. And this is the revised illustrative plan with the proposed arena integrated into the overall land use plan for the North Star project. So the applications were made to the county would first a specific plan amendment that would reduce the size of that large industrial park area from 70 acres to about 28 acres, some minor adjustments to the boundaries and neighboring planning areas. And when that business park area gets reduced, it reduced the amount of light industrial and office development allowed by the plan from 1.2 million square feet to 381,000 square feet. What's proposed in new planning area 11 is the 260,000 square foot arena, and next to it a 35,000 square foot hockey training center, which has a second sheet of ice in the offices and training areas for the new AHL team. So the change essentially is replacing about 820,000 square feet of office and light industrial uses that are already approved with the 300,000 square foot arena and training center. There's some corresponding changes to the Western Coachella Valley area plan, which is the general plan land use element for the valley, and then a change of zone, which would incorporate the revised specific plan into the county zoning ordinance. Every specific plan the county of Riverside approves is incorporated into the county zoning ordinances. Specific to the arena, the approvals would be a plot plan, which is the plan for the arrangement of the building and parking areas, and a parcel map to create two parcels, one for the arena and one for the parking area. Technical studies and environmental review documentation completed is in the form of an addendum to that 2006 ER number 470. The county commissioned all new technical studies, so I want to emphasize that the addendum is not incorporated or using information from the 2006 ER, but all new analysis was completed, including new air quality study, new geology and geotechnical studies. There were a couple topics that now have to be addressed in environmental review documents under the California Environmental Quality Act that didn't have to be addressed back in 2006. One of those is looking at greenhouse gas emissions. So a new study was completed to look at the greenhouse gas emissions that would be associated with the proposed change in land use. Updated hydrology studies, the review by the Coachella Valley Water District. Updated noise studies. Updated transportation studies. Kind of a traditional traffic study that Mike Bates will talk about in a minute, transportation impact analysis report. And also we had another change to the California Environmental Quality Act last year that now also requires that the CEQA determinations be based on analysis of how many vehicle miles of travel will be induced by a project. That's tied into our statewide goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and meet our statewide targets. So we've actually changed the way we look at transportation. So a new study was commissioned on that. Updated water and sewer hydraulic modeling was completed by the Coachella Valley Water District to make sure they'd have sufficient capacity. A water supply assessment was prepared for the 2006 EIR. A complete update of that study was completed and reviewed by the Coachella Valley Water District. As John mentioned, there are some signs proposed along the freeway. So a technical lighting report was completed to look at the light levels from those signs. Utility studies were completed. At the end of Cook Street, Imperial Irrigation District's proposing to close a gap in their existing distribution line. And so some studies were completed for that at the end of Cook Street, including looking at the potential for biological, cultural resource impacts. They're going to be putting up 11 new power poles to close a 1,600-foot gap in their distribution line. There's also will serve letters each utility provider was checked in with to make sure they'd have adequate capacity and facilities to serve the arena. Just want to go over just a few illustrations of the examples of some of the technical analysis and the addendum to the EIR. First, with traffic, the adopted specific plan, as currently approved, would generate almost 39,000 daily trips, with about 2,200 of those in the morning peak commute hour and about 3,800 in the afternoon peak commute hour. When you replace that 820,000 square feet of office and light industrial uses with the arena, which does operate for fewer days per year, overall, the daily trips will go down a little. If you look at the average concert event, the morning peak hour trips would drop pretty substantially because the arena doesn't really operate in the morning. And then the PM peak hour trips during the traditional PM peak hour, the evening commute hour everybody's used to, would actually drop a little bit for the average concert event. Mike Bates will go into that a little more because the arena events start at 7 p.m. Its peak is a little later than the peak traffic hour for everybody else in the valley. I mentioned that vehicle miles traveled study. The county asked for a comparison of the vehicle miles traveled that would be induced by all the uses allowed by the specific plan as approved in 2006 and what the change would be with the arena. And essentially, it came out about the same, less than a 1% change in the overall amount of traffic. Greenhouse gas emissions, again, since that wasn't studied in 2006, we looked at the amount of greenhouse gas emissions would be generated by the approved uses and with the change. Substituting the arena for the business park uses, GHG emissions will go down a little. Solid waste would drop, and the update of the water supply assessment showed overall water demand for the North Star specific plan project as a whole would also drop a little. So those are just a few examples of the level of detail. That's certainly not all the information that's in the addendum to the EIR, which is available on the county's website for review. And I'm going to turn it over to Mike Bates from the Mobility Group to talk about traffic.
Great. And Mr. Bates, I'm hoping that you have about 5 minutes worth to make sure that we do have time for people's comments and questions.
Okay, I will try to move fast. Thank you. I'm glad you told me that. I'm Mike Bates. I'm with the Mobility Group. We prepared the transportation assessment with the county and work closely with the county. It's a comprehensive study. And what I wanted to do today is, just checking my clock here, okay, is give you a kind of view of the context. I mean, there's a lot of numbers and technical information in the report, but I'm hoping to give you some context in what that all means. So a little bit of background based on where Oakview feel their patrons are coming from. We think about 65% of the traffic coming to the arena will come via the freeway and about a third by surface streets. Obviously, there's 2 freeway interchanges, Cook and Washington. Again, we're estimating about 75% of the traffic would come to and from the west based on demographics and market area, and 30% to and from the east. We're estimating that approximately 15 to 20% of arena traffic could use the Cook Street corridor in Palm Desert immediately south of the freeway interchange. That percentage decreases the further south you go to about 5 or 7% by the time you get south of Country Club Drive. And approximately 8 to 9% of traffic would use the Washington Street corridor immediately south of the freeway interchange. Tony? As Tony alluded to, the PM peak hour of your roadway system there is typically 4 to 5 p.m. And that's the hour that I think most people have in their mind when they're thinking of commute traffic and the highest traffic in the evening or the afternoon. We look very closely at the data, and the existing roadway volumes do reduce substantially after 5 p.m. to the point where between 6 and 7 p.m., the existing traffic volumes on the roadways are about 50% lower than the 5 to 6 p.m. hour. Because the arena events would start at 7, only 20% of the arena traffic would actually occur in that evening peak hour, and 70% would occur in the 6 to 7 p.m. peak hour. So when the highest arena traffic occurs, it's added to background traffic that is much lower than you're used to seeing in the PM peak hour. So just trying to give you a context here, in the PM peak hour, between 5 and 6, typical hockey game would generate about 620 vehicle trips. In the Cook Street corridor, that would probably amount to about a 6% increase over the existing northbound volumes during the PM peak hour, and about 3% over the total intersection volumes. The Cook Street and I-10 ramps, it would be an increase of about 12%. And over on the east, on the Washington Street corridor, would be an increase of about 1 to 5% over the existing PM peak hour volumes. I mentioned this to demonstrate that, yes, the arena will generate traffic, but our studies show that they are incremental increases rather than order of magnitude increases on these 2 corridors in Palm Desert. A pre-event hour, 6 to 7, we look conservatively at concert sellouts, which would occur relatively infrequently compared to other events. That would generate about 3,160 trips in this pre-event hour. And that would increase traffic on the Cook Street corridor northbound by anywhere from 15 to 30%, depending where you are in the corridor. And when you take into account the overall intersection volumes, 7 to 14%. But as I mentioned, in that particular hour, it's being added to traffic that is 50% lower than the typical commuting PM peak hour. And you're seeing similar types of incremental increases in the Washington Street corridor. And then this occurs relatively infrequently for the sellout events. For the more frequent hockey league games, the additional traffic would be lower, probably about 30% lower. Okay, Tony, let's go. Got to keep moving here, man.
Yeah. Got a little lag.
Got a little lag.
There we go.
Did the 5 minutes include lag or no? No, just kidding.
There you go.
So the principal strategy for dealing with arena traffic is to prepare what we call a transportation management plan. This is a very common approach for event facilities because traffic does not occur every day and it only occurs for a short period of time before and after the event. So a transportation management plan, or TMP, can really focus on the efficient management of operating traffic during the hours of events. These have proven very effective at many events throughout the state and the nation. And our study has shown that with the elements of the TMP that we're recommending, we'd be able to provide sufficient intersection capacities to handle the arena traffic. What is a TMP? In general, it would include a very mobile-friendly website to give patrons a lot of information about getting to and from the arena. There would be fixed directional signage on the streets. There would be changeable message boards, which you've probably seen on the freeway and the surface streets to enable the arena to effectively manage how traffic, which routes it takes in and out of the arena. When you get to specific intersections, there may be temporary changes in signal timing to reflect the slightly different flows. Traffic control officers for manual traffic direction are often a key element of TMPs. They're very effective during these pre and post event hours in manually directing traffic rather than allowing on the signals, which tend to be less flexible during those hours. And there may be temporary lane reassignments, particularly up by the freeway interchange and to the north, where you use cones and delineators. You may have seen these elsewhere. Where you can modify lanes and increase lanes in one direction or one turn movement to provide additional temporary capacity. We would anticipate some of those temporary lane changes could occur at the north end of Cook Street on the ramps at Varna to handle the traffic coming off the freeway. We would anticipate traffic control officers at these 4 intersections, again, to help traffic move, not only for arena traffic, but also for existing traffic on the system. So it's handled equitably, and we're making sure that existing traffic can get through these intersections. And then on the east side on Washington, again, possible signal timing changes or control officers. And I think we have a map. So we put together this map that shows these 4 measures of signals and traffic control officers, temporary lane changes, changeable message boards, and in 1 or 2 places north of the freeway, temporary lane closures to help give you a sense of what might be included in this TMP. This will be developed by the county in coordination with all the relevant jurisdictions and relevant stakeholders, including homeowner associations. It's a very cooperative process that will be developed over the next few months before arena opens. And then the county will implement it. So I don't know how close I came to 5. I hope I'm pretty close, but hopefully that gave you a sense of the context of arena traffic.
Very close. Thank you. Thank you.
I think I'm sending over to Nick to finish us out. Is that right, Nick? If that's okay.
Yes, if we have time.
You might want to save your comments for the conclusion. Does that sound workable?
Absolutely.
Okay.
There are 2 ways that folks can offer your questions or comments. I do want to give priority to Palm Desert residents who live just south of the freeway in what we call our North Sphere. So I'll ask others to hold off initially and self-monitor so that residents who are most proximate to the project get a chance to ask questions. And the two ways to do that are to click the reactions choice, which if you're on a PC is at the bottom of the screen. One of the options under reactions is raise hand. And that will show us on the participants panel that you would like to speak. If you're shy, you can also put something in the chat. We already have 5 or 6 questions there, and we'll try to get through as many of those as possible. But if we have Palm Desert North Sphere residents, I'll ask you to raise your hand. And as I give you time for that, let me say just very briefly what Palm Desert's posture has been concerning the proposed arena. We, of course, with many others, are excited at the prospect of economic stimulation. Additionally, we want to make certain that now is the time to look at any possible impacts to Palm Desert's operations as an adjoining city, any costs that might result from those impacts, and frankly, to ask the developers to address those. We just received the technical analyses at the end of March, with hearings scheduled to take place in April. So we've been pedaling fast to do our due diligence so that we can participate collaboratively. And of course, hearing from our residents is a big part of that. What kind of impacts? I'll just give you one, for instance. Mr. Bolton mentioned the Ontario arena as in some respects comparable, and our peers there indicate that one of the big impacts they've experienced is an increase in collisions from people leaving events who may drive differently than folks commuting to or from work. So that's an example of the sort of thing that we want to make sure gets correctly analyzed now so that nobody's surprised later. And we're expecting that it should be possible to do that collaboratively. So let me go to Carlos Garcia, who I see has his hand up. Would you please unmute yourself and tell us what you would like to share?
Hi, I'm actually just worried specifically about traffic. I'm a big supporter of the concept. I think this is a wonderful operation, a wonderful idea, but I'm really concerned about the traffic because I live nearby. I live very close to the freeway, actually, between Monterey and Cook. And there are a couple things that happen. Coming west, the freeway goes from 4 lanes to 3 after Monterey. So it loses a lane. So there will always be a little bit more compressed traffic from that point on. And this will, periodically, sporadically, pretty much make the Cook exit unusable. It'll just be really slow, and locals will, try to, get caught in traffic and get upset. So they won't have any other options because Monterey is already a very busy exit for the locals. There is an exit ready to go that's not built at Portola. And it would actually, if that were actually completed, it would actually help the city residents really maneuver around without having to rely on Cook, because Cook will be the principal exit for your, as you pointed out, for your venue. So have you looked into that at all? Have you thought about that at all? Have you are you expanding Varner Road? Because that's only like mostly one lane each way. There are lots of questions about traffic. I know it only happens sporadically, but when you get caught in it and it doesn't feel sporadic, it feels just annoying. And it's happened to me many times. And having lived in LA near big venues, near the Greek Theater. So I know what this is about. Thank you.
Mr. Bolton, does someone on your team want to speak to what's planned for the Portola interchange and improvement of Varner Road? We also had a question in the chat about Varner Road, particularly west of Cook.
Tony or Michael, do you want to?
Okay, I'm trying to unmute myself. I can take a stab at that. And appreciate all your comments and good questions. I understand them. Our studies conservatively did not assume the Portola Avenue interchange. Our understanding is it's not scheduled at this point. I know there's been a lot of work on it, but we wanted to do a conservative analysis. So we did not assume that would be in existence. We have done an extensive analysis of the Cook Street corridor by the freeway and the interchanges and the freeway main line and the freeway ramps. And our analysis concludes that, yes, obviously there would be additional traffic with the arena, but these transportation management plan measures to temporarily enhance capacity and operate traffic will provide sufficient capacity to get people off the freeway. We again conservatively did not anticipate or think that people would use Monterey Avenue to any great degree. They have the ability to direct traffic with these message boards to the routings they would prefer. So I don't believe from the arena's perspective, and John can add here, that there is any plan to widen Varner west of Cook.
Thank you. And Kay Van Zandt has her hand up. Kay, would you please unmute yourself?
Yes, hi. I live in the area that you're talking about. I live on Monterey Avenue, south of the freeway. And I cannot imagine any possible reason why we wouldn't want to do this. I look at the discussions on the traffic patterns and everything else, but when you look at what's happening at the time that it's happening, I believe personally that it will have a minimal impact on what we do. From a positive standpoint, if these events are taking place at night, there's a very good possibility that people will come in and plan to spend the weekend or the night, which means they will be looking for hotels and they will be looking for restaurants. And maybe some of the businesses that we are losing through this pandemic issue, maybe they can reopen and restart their businesses because of the additional traffic. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Let me open this up to others who may wish to raise your hand. While you're doing that, we'll pick up some of the additional questions in the chat. We had a question from Peter. Will Avenue 38 be repaired and repaved? That sounds like a Michael Bates question.
Yes, it does, doesn't it? I'm assuming the question refers to Avenue 38 between Varner Road and Washington Street. There currently would be no plan to widen or improve Avenue 38 as a part of this project. We would not see that as a major traffic corridor, or in fact a traffic corridor hardly for this arena. It would all come up Varner Road from Washington. So I guess the answer at this point is no.
Okay. And Sandra Schultz has her hand raised. Sandra, would you please unmute?
Okay. I'm Sandra Schultz. I'm also the vice president of the Desert Figure Skating Club. A lot of people may not know we still have a figure skating club that was founded in the city of Palm Desert about 30 years ago. And what I want to say is that we're looking at a world-class developer who's planning to build a world-class ice sports facility, the likes of which this desert has never, ever seen. And I can tell you, for the skating community, we still have one, and they're suffering as we speak, driving hours, untold hours, every week to continue skating in Riverside, Ontario, Yorba Linda, Irvine. This is just a tremendous burden for our skaters. And I can't tell you how anxious all of us are to have a proper regulation ice sports facility here in the desert. And I certainly hope that the city of Palm Desert understands how important to the community economically this will be, as we've been ravaged by this pandemic. And I'm wondering, is there something the city of Palm Desert can do to aid and abet this project? And I certainly hope that we're not looking a gift horse in the mouth here, because I see nothing but upsides, not only for the skating community, which will grow once again once we have this facility, but it will help all of us and all the commerce that it will bring to the city of Palm Desert. I don't see a downside here at all. And I really hope that the city council is behind the project and willing to support it and help it in any way it can.
Thank you. And iPad 3 is waving. Sir, would you please unmute yourself, give us your name and your comment, and then I see a couple other
yeah, hello. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, I'm Robert Frichette. I'm a 40 years resident of Palm Desert. Nationality, I'm Canadian, and during the pandemic, unfortunately, all of Canadians have been coming here, but as you all well know, this project would be welcoming by a lot of residents in the valley, including a lot of Canadians residents that come here every single year for many, many years. Now, with that said, I'm completely 100%, for the project, and I was very happy that it comes closer to my town, to Palm Desert, from Palm Springs to here. I have the shirt from Palm Springs, and I've had the opportunity to meet some of the Oakview people, and they're a world-class organization. And so if anyone would have concern about traffic, about we all here in Palm Desert know every single year for the last many years that we had the Coachella Valley Festival. We have Coachella Valley, we have tennis, we have big, huge, major event with no really major problem. It just brings us a lot of economic growth for the valley. So we're not new to this. Indian Wells dealt with the tennis garden. Indios dealt with the traffic. I'm hoping there would not be no major concern about traffic or enlarging streets or off ramps. I'm sure it would get done accordingly of what this arena would be. Again, it'd be a big plus. I see hotels being built as right now off Cook. There's 3 more that were already recently built, and they're unfortunately empty right now because of the pandemic. So I think we're ready for this. I mean, we're ready for this as soon as we can, as soon as possible. So again, I was just emphasizing that hopefully there will be concern, there will be issues, but again, we're not new to this. We've dealt with World National Coachella Festival with hundreds of thousands of people coming here, hundreds of thousands. We're looking at 7,000 to 8,000 people at this arena for the event. This is easy for us, easy day. Thank you very much for your time, everyone.
Thank you. And I see a couple identified as Hampton Inn and Suites with your hand up. Would you please unmute and share with us?
Hello, we're the owners of the Hampton Inn and Suites off of Cook Street in Palm Desert. My dad built the hotel there in 2003. And when my dad built the hotel, there was nothing at that exit. There was our hotel and the gas station. And we have seen that exit grow and develop to what it is today. And we are actually very excited for this arena because after we built our hotel, the area has had development of 3 new hotels. The Homewood Suites came, the Fairfield came. There's another hotel that's under construction. Events do bring us a lot of business, and that our valley is event oriented. The past 15 years that I've been in business, our summers are very slow here with tourism and the hotel occupancy drops down. The events, the money we make in the events, I save, and that helps me survive my summer months. So these events are very helpful for us hotel owners. And so we are very excited about the arena. And just the gentleman before me said, traffic, it could be controlled. Their traffic plan is pretty good, having, all the cones and the signage and everything. It could be controlled. And so I think it would be beneficial for the whole area. Us as a hotel, we generate, then the city gets the TOT tax, and that in general that helps the residents. So the city benefits and then the residents benefit as well. So we're looking forward to this arena.
Thank you. I see 3 more hands we will take, and then we'll try to wrap up. Joy me.
Hi there, Kathleen. This is Joy Medicke, and I just wanted to add that I live off of Jefferson and Miles, and I've watched the Coachella Fest go by over the years, and we have never had any problem getting out of our property, getting onto Jefferson to be able to go to 111. It's been highly organized with the new off-ramps. Everything goes very smooth, and I think that doing this for Palm Desert and for the rest of Coachella Valley is a wonderful thing. It encourages kids to be in sports, and that's where we want them, not on the street. So I say, yes, let's do this. Thank you.
Thanks, Joy. Michael Nowacki.
Hi, I moved here from New Caney, Connecticut about 3 years ago and live here in Palm Desert. And I can tell you the economic impact of the building of ice rinks in the area around Stamford, Connecticut resulted in NBC Sports moving their facilities out of all the areas that they had located elsewhere because the ice rink attracted such attention and attracted such employees. I don't know whether or not an economic impact study was done as part of the proposal to the town, but I think the gentleman that spoke earlier, who's from Canada, I can guarantee you that the Canadian people who are not here right now would be avid supporters of this rink. They come during hockey season, which obviously starts, once COVID is over. We hope hockey will start in October, November, etc. They will be avid participants here in regards to supporting a local hockey team. We also need to keep in mind that there are so many people from the state of Washington, and this team is a minor league franchise, of the new Seattle Kraken team. All you need to do is to look at what happened to Las Vegas when they brought that hockey team to Las Vegas, it has been a centerpiece. Keep in mind that people attend the casinos here. They're active, if you will, in supporting other activities when they come to Agua Caliente. So you have all sorts of reasons to believe that this stadium will have an enormous positive impact on the restaurants that have been devastated by COVID, et cetera, that are in that northern tier that you just spoken about. So all I can say is, from a person who had a son that started playing ice hockey when he was 8 years old, played all the way till he was in college. They all start with little cones on a rink. That's how they all start. And it's some of the great things that grandparents can bring their kids to during the summertime here to attract people to participate. And I can guarantee you, a ice hockey rink around here during the summertime is a great respite from the heat.
Thank you. And Scott White, you'll be our last person to share.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to speak, and it's great to hear everybody's voices on this critical, important project. We've been following this now for a long time, and I just can't even really share how important this project is for our valley and for this destination. It's a year-round venue. It's an indoor venue. It's going to put us on a stage across the globe, highlighting all of the entertainment options that are happening here. It's really going to be important for the tourism industry, which is going through a long road of recovery after the pandemic, and we're still going through all of that. Coming here from San Antonio and Phoenix and seeing the power that arenas bring to a destination is incredible. The economic impact is unsurmountable. And the fact that it's being funded 100% with private dollars is remarkable. So I know we had a lot of speakers today, a lot of positive comments, but on behalf of the tourism industry, the #1 industry in the Valley, this couldn't come at a better time. And I want to thank Oakville Group for picking our Valley. They had a lot of places they could have chosen, and to pick our location is really, it's just a phenomenal opportunity for our destination. And I think a lot of our hotels and restaurants are going to benefit from this as long as there's our residents as well. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. We're 100% behind it. We can't wait till it's open, and we will support it all the way through to the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. I've been combing the chat to see if we have additional questions. It looks like it's predominantly comments, so we'll be certain to save those comments. I think Nick had some concluding thoughts to offer from the developer.
Yes, thank you, Kathleen. I wanted to just take a second and just talk about hockey for 2 or 3 minutes. Hopefully you can see my screen here. First of all, everybody, we appreciate the support. We know this is change in the Valley, but the groups that are involved here have community in mind, certainly first. My name again is Nick Fora. I'm the president of soon to be your American Hockey League team here in the Valley. And I just want to touch base with a couple slides on what the American Hockey League is. A lot of folks, if you haven't been to a game, hockey is the best live sport out there. If you've never been to a game, when we open up, you contact me and you'll come and I'll get you tickets. Michael, who just spoke here a few minutes ago, you could almost done my presentation. One of the reasons why the Seattle Kraken and this ownership group looked at the Valley was the synergies. When you look at the overnight stays of domestic fly markets, Seattle being the #2 market just made a ton of sense. There are a lot of synergies between both of these areas. Michael also mentioned Las Vegas coming online as the 31st NHL team a few years back. The Seattle Kraken, we were awarded to be the 32nd franchise just about 3 years ago, and it's probably been regarded as one of the biggest brand launches in all of sports that we've seen, not only from a revenue standpoint, from the beautiful Climate Pledge Arena that we're building here, but the impact in the community in this entire area. For those of you who don't know a lot about the American Hockey League, it's fantastic hockey. We will be the main development team for the Seattle Kraken, as mentioned, and it's probably one of the most under-marketed leagues out there. As if you watch any NHL game on TV tonight, 85% on average of those players on the NHL ice have played on this league. So our GM Ron Francis and his entire group will essentially draft this club personally, and a lot of these players may be playing on a Thursday night in your brand new beautiful arena, and you'll see them in Seattle as they take their journey to the NHL on possibly a Saturday or Sunday. Currently 31 teams in the league. We'll be the 32nd. A little bit about the competition in the Pacific Division that we would play in. There's currently 5 teams within California alone. We would be the 6th, and this is what the division and those NHL affiliates would look like. So a lot of close competition just within the state of California alone. And then last but not least, this has been touched on, but this project has a lot of ripple effects, positive for many in the entire valley. One of them is there's a reeling ice community, has been mentioned, between youth and adult hockey, figure skating community at the old rink that shut down last year. It's not coming back. So we really look at this main sheet of ice along with this second training and community rink as a community trust. So we are here to grow the game. So these families don't have to travel an hour and a half to either San Diego or LA to play. They deserve a world-class facility, and we are really looking forward to building community events. Again, just another way we can bridge the community, bring them in this facility, and we're really excited. So just a few comments, Kathleen, and thank you for having me.
And if you could stop share. This has been great. We've had lots of participation. Everyone has been highly respectful. You're a model group. And I want to assure you that the city of Palm Desert intends to play a very, very constructive part in the continuing process toward hopefully achieving all of these economic and lifestyle benefits. From our perspective, the worst thing in the world would be to wear such rosy colored glasses now that we failed to think about or prepare for any downsides and then became shocked by those. So we're playing the role of assuring that those things are thought through so that the benefits are experienced to the full extent possible. And I'll invite our city manager, Todd Heilman, just to acquaint folks very, very briefly with some of the topics that we're sure can and will be addressed.
Sure, thank you. Yeah, we currently have staff looking over the 2,000-page submittal that we received last month, and I'm confident that most of the technical details can probably be worked out, and that's certainly the position that we're taking. Like some of the comments that we heard today, we are concerned with what happens to Varner Road if it gets overwhelmed. What's the plan? Same thing with the Cook Street interchange. So the traffic management plan goes a long way in terms of moving traffic, but I think a couple of things that we're really focused on and we need to get worked out in the next couple of weeks, is really the impact of public safety. What we've learned in our research, it's not so much the impact on the site, it's the folks that are leaving the facility. And when we've spoken with our colleagues in other cities with these types of arenas, the number of collisions that are taking place after the games adds up. It takes away police and fire resources to those calls, and it's having a real impact on some of these communities. Ontario is a good example who shared a lot of data with us. So we want to, both of our fire liaison, our sheriff's department liaison are both convinced that it's going to require some additional personnel that we need to make. We need to understand what that means. On the police side, it's about a net $2 million a year worth of additional staffing potentially. On the fire, it's far more. One of the issues we're dealing with is that this particular area, and I think this is important for folks to understand, this particular area is being served from 2 stations that do not meet the current level of standard of 4-minute response time. So if the facility to serve it has to be built at Frank Sinatra in Cook, that's going to mean Palm Desert taxpayers are brought along with it, without the revenue to sustain the fire operations. And that's our big concern. It's $15 to $16 million to stand up and equip a new station, and about $3 million a year of ongoing expenses that we quite frankly don't have in our budget right now. So we're trying to figure out exactly where the facts lie in terms of the impact on the arena. If in fact, it does have the kind of impact on our public safety services to serve our residents, and we have to absorb those dollars into the budget, what does that mean and what is the plan? So it's been sort of, there's a lot of positives to this. And I think we all live on TOT out in the Valley, we get it. But there's also some real ongoing issues on the other side. We don't see the revenue coming close to offsetting our public safety costs at this point if we have to add a new station and some of these new equipment, that it looks like we're going to have to deal with. So very real issues to be dealt with. And I'm going to ask Mr. Bolton and his team to kind of reach out and see if we can't work through some of these issues. But we need to, if we can get these issues resolved, I think that we have an easy time talking to the city council. But as the mayor said, we'd rather deal with it now than get surprised later and be in a really serious financial position.
I want to thank everyone who has participated. This has been extremely helpful and meaningful. I'll ask Thomas Soul to share some information on the screen about the county's process from this point forward. So those who want to express themselves more know how and when to do that. And Supervisor Perez, do you have any concluding comments?
I just want to say thank you, Madam Mayor, City Council, staff, for organizing this forum. I think it's an important forum to have. I also want to thank John Bolton and his entire team at Oakview for the great work that they've done so far, especially the outreach and the educational efforts, the presentations. That's all necessary. Now, I want to let folks know that as a county supervisor, I think of the entire county on one aspect of it all. And then I also think about the 4th district, obviously. And ultimately, when we talk about economic development opportunities and projects like these, I also need to be a good neighbor. Although this project is on county land in Thousand Palms, I want to listen to the concerns of all our residents. I think that's very important. There's a lot of great opportunity coming as a result of this project. We heard it here. I was watching the chat, reading the chat comments that were brought up, and a lot of great information and a lot of great views as to why this project is important. I want folks to know that I am 100% fully behind this project and have asked county staff to assist in any way, shape, or form to move this project forward. But as a good neighbor, I also asked staff to put a hold on moving forward with the Planning Commission, which was going to be this Wednesday, because I knew that our city of Palm Desert still wanted to have this forum and wanted to review all the documents, wanted to have that time to review those documents. So we will be having the Planning Commission hearing on this project on May 5th, I believe, which was presented to you earlier. And as well, it was important for me to hear the concerns around Barner Road, around the Portola ramp, around the transportation management plan, around increased potential of collisions, around overflow when it comes to parking. What does that plan look like? Concerns around earthquake ratings of the facility. potential options for public transit, overall public safety impacts. I think those are all great points that were brought up by our constituents, by all of you. And so we'll be working those through over the course of these next few weeks. And my goal is to get this passed by the Planning Commission early May. Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, staff. Thank you, City Council Palm Desert, and all the folks from Oakview and our residents.
Thank you, Supervisor. And thank you for everyone who has participated. I see many of the Coachella Valley's finest on the participant list, and you know that the Coachella Valley has a strong history of regional collaboration and good government, and I'm sure we'll apply both of those traditions to a good outcome in this case. So thank you all for tuning in.